Now, last night things got heated on NTV. Kimani Ichung'Wah came face to face with the Gen Z and they did not hold back. Hard questions, awkward moments, and a silence that said everything. Stay with me as I unpack what really happened. Make sure you hit that subscribe button. Now, last night on NTV something unusual happened. It wasn't just the usual politics interviews that tumezoea. It felt different, almost like two worlds colliding. One side, Kimani Ichung'Wah, confident, composed, representing the government. On the other side, journalists asking questions many Kenyans have been thinking, but rarely hear answers. The questions came in sharp, direct, no sugarcoating, about protests, about accountability, and about the people who lost their lives. And then came in the hard topic that everyone has been asking. So wajua, kila mtu in the topic yenye kila msee huwa anataka kuongelea. The Gen Z, the anger, their protests, and their message. And things were not that good for Kimani. You could see kwa facial expression yake jamaa alikuwa tensed kidogo akijibu hizo maswali and so on. Now watch this video to the full and let's listen.
Power does not panic unless it knows it is losing control.
Power does not panic.
Unless it knows it is losing control.
True. You have no reason to panic if you're in power, unless you are losing control of it.
Mheshimiwa, do you feel
very pedantic
from examples of, you have of course lived a while in not just in this country but in the world. You've seen leaders who at some point feel like they're losing the grip of the population.
Yes, and they get very desperate, and I've seen it even in the very recent past. A lot of desperation.
Recent past, how recent? You can give us the example.
I'll give you an example of what you saw happening in Kikuyu in the last week. What has happened with our old good friend in the last 2 or so weeks. And I said it in the statement that I released on Saturday, that our good old friend Rigathi was stage setting for violence. I said it in Parliament. I said it in my statement, that what I had seen him do in the last 2-3 weeks, and this is a man I know very well, and I saw him just before the Olkalau burial somewhere in Ukambani say, Kimani Ichung'Wah has been given 30 million shillings to mobilize goons to stop me from getting to Kikuyu. When I heard that, I said in Parliament, I've heard this man say this, but let me set the record straight. Kikuyu is part and parcel of Kenya. And every leader is welcome to Kenya. And I gave the case example of former CJ Maraga, who was in Kikuyu, I think, on the 12th of March or thereabout. And I said, what Rigathi should do is what Maraga did. Come address the people of Kikuyu. And I was saying that knowing how he stage sets. He will speak about things he's planning to do and point fingers elsewhere. And I know him because it's someone I've worked with. So I said, do not bring goons to Kikuyu. Because he said, Kimani Ichung'Wah plans to burn down buildings in Kikuyu. Loot shops with goons. My town, where I grew up. And when again you saw the anger with which he spoke with at the funeral of our colleague Honorable Kiaraho, I sat there pensively listening. So I was being told, vijana kama hawa sijui nini. I think I lost count at the measure of about 5 times. And I just blocked my mind and stopped listening to the idiocy.
You called for his arrest. Sorry.
I would argue the stage setting for goons was done during Mandamano in 2024 and 2025 when the KFC eating, Uber riding, iPhone using young people were essentially then attacked or neutralized by the use of goons who seem to enjoy police protection by and large. And then now fast forward to a politically charged season with by-elections happening, and then you see the propagation of goonism in Kenya.
Let me say, Mariam, before I get back to that issue of KFC and all that in 2024, and I'll come back to it, because I have said it several times, that it had nothing to stage set. It had everything to set the record straight. But I was telling you, the stage setting back to Al-Kalau. Rigathi goes on and on and on to repeat the same things. And that Friday he did a letter to, remember this was on Wednesday, Friday he did a letter to the IG, now enumerating the steps that will be taken. Roads will be blocked, goons will be brought into town. We do not want the police. And if you read his letter, you'll see him saying that. The security forces will be there. We do not want you to use the police to stop us from holding our meeting. When I saw that letter on Friday, as I sat at the funeral of Kiaraho, the funeral service in Limuru, I came back to my office later in the afternoon, about 4 p.m., and I did a letter to the IG. I told the IG, don't fall into the trap. Because what Rigathi is doing is setting the stage, playing reverse psychology, ensure they are police officers. I spoke to my county and sub-county police commanders. I told them, make sure there is presence of police in Kikuyu on the day they are coming. But don't interfere with their rally. Let them come and have their rally. The best they will do is to come, say, one time, Kasongo, Ichung'Wah must go, Ichung'Wah sijui Zuzu's wife, then leave.
Yeah.
And unfortunately, I had my late mother-in-law's memorial that day. So I left home at about 10:30. I flew to Karatina with my family, had the service there up to about 1:30, 2:30, had lunch, and came back to Kikuyu at around 4 o'clock. Attended a wedding next to my house, then went for another one in Karen. And true to my word, when I woke up in the morning, the OCS Kikuyu told me, early this morning at about 6 a.m., there are some boys who tried to block the southern bypass and were robbing people on the bypass. And I asked him, I hope you cleared the road. In fact, before we got there, locals had cleared the road and the boys disappeared back to Dagoretti, because I was told some had been mobilized from around Dagoretti. True to my word, everything that they had said, I told this OCS, you better be careful, because they will want to set a stage in town where to create a conducive environment for looting. And eventually, from the intelligence we had gathered, is that they targeted to get into the police station. There are some DCI offices that are wooden next to the gate, and at least ban those buildings, just like they did on the 2024 June. They set ablaze my NGCDF office. The stage had been set, not by what I had said, but because, as we said on the night of 25th June, that a treasonous gang had infiltrated what were otherwise peaceful and legitimate protests. And I remember that time me telling Kenyans, the only thing we had was treasonous, and it was turned around. That was mentioned. Show me where that provision of the things you are saying are. She reads here, no, this is a different version. I don't know. That's the bill we are discussing. Anyway, the long and short is that the thing is there was a lot of disinformation. I told Kenyans then, let me finish that point. Let me finish that point.
Yes.
I told Kenyans then, on the 4th and 5th of December,